The massive changes coming to Manchester United. Romano drops bombshell on 2026 plans. Welcome to United Daily Updates, your #1 trusted source for everything Manchester United. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, do it right now. We are the channel that brings you real news, honest analysis, and insider information about our beloved club. No fake rumors. No clickbait headlines. Just genuine coverage for fans who truly care about Manchester United. Today I have some massive news to share with you. News that will shape the future of our club. Fabrizio Romano, the most reliable transfer expert in football, has revealed who Manchester United want most in 2026. And at the same time, reports are coming out that INEOS are ready to conduct a massive clear-out. For players could be sold in what is being called a fire sale. This is not just about one transfer window. This is about the direction Manchester United is heading. This is about whether INEOS can deliver on their promises. This is about whether Ruben Amorim gets the players he needs to succeed. So grab a coffee, get comfortable, and let me break down everything you need to know about what is coming for Manchester United in 2026. The player Ruben Amorim wants most. Let me start with the biggest revelation. The one name that keeps coming up. The player Manchester United are obsessed with signing. Carlos Baleba. Now before you ask who that is or why we want him, let me tell you exactly what Fabrizio Romano said. And remember, this is Romano. The man who only reports facts. The man with sources everywhere. When he says something, you can trust it. Romano appeared on the Men in Blazers podcast recently and was asked about Manchester United's transfer plans. His answer was crystal clear. He said, look, if there is a player Manchester United put on top of their list, for sure it is Carlos Baleba. Baleba is a player they absolutely love. Did you catch that? Top of the list. Not just a target. Not just someone they are monitoring. The absolute priority. The player they want more than anyone else in world football right now. This is huge news. This tells us exactly where United's focus is. This tells us what position Amorim thinks is most important to fix. This tells us who INEOS are willing to spend big money on. So who is Carlos Baleba and why does everyone at Manchester United rate him so highly? Getting to know Carlos Baleba. Carlos Baleba is 21 years old. He was born in Cameroon but grew up in France. He plays for Brighton and Hove Albion in the Premier League. And over the past 18 months, he has become one of the most exciting young midfielders in English football. Baleba plays as a defensive midfielder. The number 6 position. The spot where Manchester United desperately need an upgrade. The role where Casemiro currently plays but cannot continue much longer due to his age. But Baleba is not your typical defensive midfielder. He is not just a destroyer who wins tackles and nothing else. He is a complete modern midfielder who can do everything. Let me give you some numbers that will blow your mind. Last season in the Premier League, Baleba won possession 6.64 times per 90 minutes. That was the second highest of any player who played over 2,500 minutes. Think about that. Only one player in the entire league won the ball back more often than him. Compare that to anyone in Manchester United's current squad. Baleba wins possession more than Casemiro. More than Ugarte. More than Manu. More than anyone wearing the red shirt. But winning the ball is only half the job of a modern defensive midfielder. You also need to be able to use it. You need to progress play. You need to beat the press when teams try to trap you. Baleba can do all of that too. He is excellent at carrying the ball forward. He can dribble past opponents. He has the technical ability to play passes that break lines. He is strong. He is fast. He has incredible stamina. Brighton signed him from Lille in France for around £25 million. At the time, people thought it was a gamble on a young player who had barely played first-team football. But he quickly proved everyone wrong. He became a key player for Brighton last season. He was one of the main reasons they finished so high in the league. He dominated midfield battles against much more experienced players. He looked like a star in the making. And that is when the big clubs started circling. Manchester United were not the only ones interested. But they moved fastest. They made him their priority. They convinced him that Old Trafford was the right place for his development. Why United could not sign him last summer. So if United wanted Baleba so badly and he was open to joining, why is he still at Brighton? Why did the move not happen in the summer? The answer is brutally simple. Money. Brighton wanted an absolutely massive fee for Baleba. Reports said they were asking for £100 million. Some sources claimed it was as high as £115 million. That is an enormous amount of money for any player, never mind a 21-year-old with just one full season of Premier League football under his belt. Manchester United looked at that price and had to make a difficult decision. They had a limited budget. They needed to strengthen multiple positions. Could they really spend £100 million on one midfielder? INEOS decided they could not. Not in that particular summer. They needed to add attackers. They needed to add goals to the team. So they spent big money on Benjamin Sesko, Brian Bumo, Mateus Cunha, and Sen Lamens instead. Those signings cost around £230 million combined. That was already a massive outlay. Adding another £100 million for Belieber would have meant spending over £330 million in one window. Even for Manchester United, that was too much. So the club made a calculated choice. Strengthen the attack first. Come back for Belieber later. It was frustrating because everyone knew United needed a midfielder. But sometimes you have to be patient and do things in stages. The good news is that the door is not closed. Romano confirmed that there were very positive exchanges between Belieber, his agent, and Manchester United. The player wants to join. He did not want to force the issue at Brighton because he respects the club. But he has made it clear he would love to play for United. Personal terms have basically been agreed. Belieber knows what he would earn at Old Trafford. He knows what role he would play. He knows how much Amorim rates him. All of that is sorted. The only issue is getting Brighton to sell. And that brings us to what might happen in 2026. The current situation with Belieber. Here is where the story gets interesting. And a bit complicated. Belieber's form this season has not been as good as last year. He has struggled. Some matches he has looked lost. Other games he has been completely anonymous. The player who dominated midfields last season seems to have disappeared. Why? There are a few theories. Some people think the constant transfer speculation affected him mentally. When big clubs like Manchester United are chasing you and £100 million price tags are being thrown around, that puts enormous pressure on a young player. Maybe it got inside his head. Others say he has a knee issue that is bothering him. Nothing serious enough to keep him out of the team. But enough to affect his performances. Enough to stop him playing at his best. And some Brighton fans think he has already mentally checked out. That he wants the Manchester United move so badly that he cannot fully commit to Brighton anymore. His heart is not in it. Whatever the reason, the fact is that Belieber has not been the same player this season. And that changes the transfer situation completely. Brighton are still publicly saying he is not for sale. They still claim they want €115 million for him. They insist he will not leave in January unless someone makes an absolutely ridiculous offer. But privately, there are whispers that Brighton might be willing to negotiate in the summer. Especially if Belieber's form does not pick up. Especially if he makes it clear he wants to leave. Think about it from Brighton's perspective. They bought him for £25 million. If they can sell him for £70 or £80 million after 2 seasons, that is still an incredible profit. And if his value is only going to decrease because of poor form, maybe selling makes sense. This is why Manchester United are being patient. They know the deal is still possible. They know Belieber still wants to come. They are just waiting for the right moment to strike. Romano has confirmed that United remain in contact with Belieber's representatives. The relationship is still strong. When the time comes to make a move, United will be ready. The other midfield options United are considering. Now here is something important to understand. While Belieber is the top target, he is not the only midfielder United are looking at. Romano mentioned 2 other names specifically when talking about United's midfield plans. Elliot Anderson from Nottingham Forest and Adam Wharton from Crystal Palace. Let me tell you about both of them because they are interesting options in their own right. Elliot Anderson is 22 years old. He plays for Nottingham Forest. He is English, which helps with homegrown quotas. And he has been absolutely brilliant this season. Anderson is more of a box-to-box midfielder than a pure defensive midfielder. He can do a bit of everything. Win tackles. Carry the ball. Create chances. Score goals. He brings energy and intensity to every game. The problem? His price. Some reports suggest Forest would want £100 million for him after how well he has played. That is a lot of money. But at least he is Premier League proven and in great form right now. Adam Wharton is younger at just 21. He plays for Crystal Palace. He is also English. But his style is quite different from Anderson. Wharton is more of a deep-lying playmaker. He sits in front of the defense and dictates play with his passing. He is technically excellent. Very intelligent reader of the game. Not as physical or dynamic as Belieber or Anderson, but potentially more creative. The advantage with Wharton is that he might be cheaper than the other options. Crystal Palace would still demand a big fee, but probably not £100 million. Maybe 60 or 70 million pounds could get it done. There is also Angelo Stiller from Stuttgart who has been mentioned. He is a German midfielder who Jason Wilcox has been monitoring for years. But there is less concrete information about United's interest in him. So United have options. They have done their homework. They know who is available in that position. But Romano was very clear about the hierarchy. Baleba has always been seen as the top target for Ruben Amorim. That is the crucial detail. This is not just INEOS or the recruitment team rating Baleba. This is Amorim. The manager wants him. That makes all the difference. Why Manchester United need a midfielder so desperately? Let me step back for a moment and explain why this position is so critical for Manchester United. Why Amorim keeps telling everyone the club needs an important midfielder in 2026. Why this has become the #1 priority. The current situation is not sustainable. It cannot continue. Let me break down why. First, there is Casemiro. He is 33 years old. His contract expires at the end of this season. INEOS have decided they will not offer him a new deal. He is the highest paid player at the club, earning massive wages. And while he has been better under Amorim, Father Time is undefeated. His legs will go soon. Yes, Casemiro has had a bit of a resurgence recently. Yes, he has been important in Amorim's system. But that is not going to last. By next season, he will be 34. You cannot build your midfield around a 34-year-old defensive midfielder. It is just not realistic. Second, there is Manuel Ugarte. Remember him? United paid £44 million to sign him from Paris Saint-Germain. He was supposed to be the solution. The young defensive midfielder who would grow into the role. But it has been a disaster. Ugarte has barely played. When he does play, he looks lost. Amorim has been brutally honest about it in press conferences. He said Ugarte is struggling. That he does not fit the system. That he needs time to adapt. INEOS are now trying to offload Ugarte. They want to send him to Nice, which they also own a stake in. They are hoping to recoup some of the money they wasted on him. That tells you everything about how badly that transfer worked out. Third, there is Kobbie Mainoo. Now do not get me wrong. Mainoo is a fantastic talent. He is going to be a top player for Manchester United. But he is not a defensive midfielder. That is not his best position. Mainoo is at his best when he can play higher up the pitch. When he can link defense and attack. When he can drive forward with the ball. Asking him to sit deep and just protect the defense limits what he can do. It wastes his talents. Fourth, there is Christian Eriksen. He is 33 years old. Great player. Wonderful professional. But he is not the long-term answer. He is a squad player at this stage of his career. Everyone else who could play that position is gone. Scott McTominay was sold to Napoli. Fred went to Fenerbahce. Donny van de Beek finally left after years of doing nothing. The midfield has been stripped down. And the replacements have not worked. That is why the position is so critical. Without a quality defensive midfielder, Manchester United cannot control games. They get overrun in the middle of the park. They cannot protect the back four. They struggle to build attacks from deep positions. The whole team suffers. This is not a luxury signing. This is not about adding depth. This is about fixing a fundamental problem with the squad. A problem that is holding back everything Amorim is trying to do. That is why Baleba is so important. That is why United are willing to spend massive money on him. Because without that position sorted, nothing else matters. The fire sale that is coming. Now let me tell you about the other side of this story. How Manchester United plan to fund these big signings. How INEOS intend to raise the money needed to sign Baleba and potentially other targets. According to multiple reports, INEOS are ready to conduct what is being called a fire sale. They are prepared to offload 4 major players. Maybe more. They want to generate funds and they are not going to be sentimental about it. Who are the 4 players most likely to leave? Let me break them down one by one. First on the list is Casemiro. As I mentioned, his contract expires in 2026. He will not be offered a new deal. After years of loyal service, after some brilliant performances this season even, Casemiro will leave Manchester United. Where will he go? Most likely Saudi Arabia. Al Nassr or Al Hilal will offer him a fortune to play there for a couple of years. He can earn life-changing money before he retires. It makes sense for everyone. This move will not generate a transfer fee because he is out of contract. But it will save United an absolute fortune in wages. Casemiro is one of the highest earners at the club. Getting his salary off the books gives INEOS room to pay big wages to incoming players. Second on the list is Manuel Ugarte. This one is already in motion according to reports. INEOS are actively trying to move him to Nice. They own a minority stake in Nice so they can facilitate the deal easier. Ugarte cost £44 million just over a year ago. United will not get all that money back. But if they can recoup £35 to £40 million, they will take it. They just want to cut their losses and move on from a transfer that clearly did not work. Third on the list is Andre Onana. This might shock some people, but think about it. Sen Lamens has taken over as the #1 goalkeeper. Onana has lost his place in the team. His confidence looks shot. There is no way back for him now. Onana is only 28 years old. He had a decent season at Inter Milan before joining United. Someone will take a chance on him. Maybe an Italian club. Maybe a team in Spain or Germany. United should be able to get £20 to £25 million for him. Fourth on the list is Tyrell Malaysia. This one is just unfortunate. Malaysia has not done anything wrong. He is a decent player when fit. But that is the problem. He cannot stay fit. 2 seasons have been completely disrupted by injuries. United cannot rely on a left back who is constantly unavailable. They need someone they can depend on week in and week out. Malaysia could fetch £10 to £15 million. Not a huge fee, but every bit helps. And more importantly, it creates space in the squad for a more reliable option. Those are the 4 most likely to leave. But there could be others. Joshua Zirkzee might be sold if Roma or another Italian club meets the asking price. There are even whispers that bigger names could be available if the right offer comes in. The message from INEOS is clear. Nobody is safe. If you are not performing, if you do not fit the system, if your wages are too high for your contribution, you will be moved on. This is not a club that will be sentimental anymore. This is about building a team that can win trophies. And sometimes that means making harsh decisions about players who are not good enough or do not fit. How much money United can raise. Let me do some quick calculations on how much money Manchester United could generate from all these sales. Casemiro leaves on a free transfer, so that is £0 in transfer fees. But the wage savings are massive. He reportedly earns around £350,000 per week. That is over £18 million per year in wages saved. Ugarte could bring in £35 to £40 million. Split the difference and call it £37 million. Onana might fetch £20 to £25 million. Let us say £22 million. Malaysia could bring in £10 to £15 million. Let us estimate £12 million. Zirkzee, if sold, might add another £30 million. Add all that up and you are looking at roughly £100 million from player sales. Plus the enormous wage savings from Casemiro leaving. Plus whatever other wages are saved from the other departures. That gives United serious spending power. They could afford to pay £80 or £90 million for Belieber and still have money left over for other targets. They could strengthen multiple positions without breaking financial fair play rules. This is the smart way to do business. Sell the players who do not fit or are not contributing. Use that money to buy players who improve the team. Keep refreshing the squad so it never gets stale. Some fans will be sad to see certain players go. Casemiro especially has been a warrior for this club. But sentiment cannot drive decisions. United need to be ruthless if they want to compete with Manchester City, Liverpool and Arsenal. And INEOS seem to understand that. They are willing to make the tough calls. They are not going to keep players around just because of who they are or what they cost. What Ruben Amorim thinks about all this? Throughout all of this planning and speculation, one voice matters most. Ruben Amorim. The manager. The man who has to work with these players. The person who knows exactly what his system needs. Amorim has been very clear and consistent about what he wants. He needs intensity in midfield. He needs players who can win the ball back high up the pitch. He needs athletes who can cover huge amounts of ground. That is why he keeps mentioning the need for a midfielder. That is why he pushed so hard for Belieber in the summer. That is why the club have made it their #1 priority. Amorim is also realistic. He knows he cannot get every player he wants immediately. He knows building the perfect squad takes time. He is willing to be patient as long as there is progress. But he has also been honest about the limitations of the current squad. He has said publicly that certain players are struggling to adapt. That some do not quite fit his system. That changes need to be made. The good news is that INEOS seem to be listening. They are backing him. They are willing to spend money on his targets. They are willing to sell players he does not rate. That support is crucial. So many managers at Manchester United have failed because they did not get the players they needed. The recruitment was chaotic. The structure was poor. Good managers were set up to fail. Amorim seems to have the support he needs. If he says Belieber is essential, INEOS will do everything possible to sign him. If he says Ugarte has to go, INEOS will find a way to move him on. That alignment between manager and board is what successful clubs have. That is what Manchester United have been missing for years. And finally, it seems to be in place. The competition for Belieber's signature. Here is something Manchester United fans need to be aware of. We are not the only club interested in Carlos Belieber. We are not going to get a free run at him. Tottenham are reportedly monitoring the situation closely. They need a defensive midfielder too. If they see Belieber's price drop, they might make a move. Liverpool could potentially be interested. Their midfield is getting older. They always need to refresh the squad. Belieber would fit their style of play. Chelsea are always lurking. They love buying young talent. They have unlimited money, it seems. If they decide they want Belieber, they could make it difficult for United. Even clubs from abroad might get involved. Real Madrid and Barcelona are always looking at the best young players. Bayern Munich, Paris Saint-Germain. If Belieber is available for a reasonable price, everyone will be interested. The good news for Manchester United is that they have done the groundwork. They built a relationship with Belieber and his representatives over a year ago. They convinced him that Old Trafford is the right place for his career. They have an advantage. Belieber wants to play for Ruben Amorim. He wants to be part of what United are building. That gives the club a head start over any competitors. But United cannot take it for granted. If they wait too long, if they mess around with negotiations, if another club comes in with a better offer, this deal could slip away. Some people think United should try to get it done in January if possible. Pay extra money if needed. Lock Belieber down before other clubs can seriously compete. Because once the summer comes and everyone is shopping, the competition gets fierce. Brighton will not make it easy though. They do not want to sell mid-season. They are still in competitions and need their best players. It would take an enormous offer to change their mind in January. So realistically, this is probably a summer 2026 deal. But United need to stay on top of it. They need to keep the relationship with Belieber strong. They need to be ready to move quickly when the window opens. Because missing out on Belieber would be a disaster. He is the perfect fit. He is exactly what Amorim wants. Letting him sign for a rival would be unforgivable. What other positions United might strengthen? Midfield is clearly the top priority for 2026. But it is not the only position Manchester United might look to improve. Full-back is another area of concern. With Malaysia likely leaving and questions about the other options, United might need reinforcements there. There have been reports linking United with Antoine Semenyo from Bournemouth. He could play as a wing-back or a winger. Apparently, he has a release clause of around £65 million. That is expensive, but he is young and has been impressive this season. United are also keeping an eye on various defenders. Ruben Dias from Manchester City has been mentioned in some reports, but that seems very unlikely. City would never sell to United. And the price would be astronomical. The attack is probably sorted for now. With Sesko, Mbeumo, Cunha, Mount and others, United have plenty of options going forward. Unless someone leaves, they probably will not add another attacker in 2026. The goalkeeper situation might need addressing too, depending on what happens with Onana. If he leaves, United might need to sign a backup goalkeeper to compete with Lamans. But make no mistake. The key is getting the midfield right. That is where games are won and lost in modern football. That is where United have been weakest. Fix that position and everything else becomes easier. A strong defensive midfielder allows your attackers to push higher. It allows your full-backs to get forward. It gives your centre-backs confidence. It is the foundation everything else is built on. That is why Belieber is so important. That is why United are willing to make him the priority. That is why they will spend big money to get him. Why summer 2026 is absolutely crucial. Let me explain why the 2026 summer transfer window is so important for Manchester United. Why this is a make-or-break moment for the club. First, it will be Amorim's first full pre-season at Manchester United. He will have had several months working with the team. He will know exactly what he needs. He will have a clear vision of how he wants to play. Summer 2025 was rushed for Amorim. He only joined in November. The January window came too quickly. He did not have time to properly assess the squad or identify all the weaknesses. He had to make do. But by summer 2026, all of that will be sorted. He will know which players fit his system and which ones do not. He will know exactly what positions need upgrading. He can give the recruitment team a precise list of requirements. Second, It will be the summer where INEOS can really stamp their authority on the squad. They have had control of football operations for over a year now. But the first summer was still somewhat chaotic. There were a lot of moving parts. A lot of decisions to make quickly. In 2026, they can plan properly. They can sell the players who need to go months in advance. They can identify targets early. They can negotiate deals without being rushed. Everything can be done professionally and efficiently. Third, United will have a full year of data on how the current squad is performing. They will know for certain which signings from 2025 worked out and which ones did not. That information will guide their decisions in 2026. If Sesko has been brilliant, maybe they do not need another striker. If Cunha has struggled, maybe they need more attacking depth. If the defense has improved, maybe they can spend less there. Everything will be clearer. Fourth, the financial situation will be better understood. United will know exactly what their FFP position is. They will know how much they can spend. They will know what sales they need to make to fund purchases. No more guessing or hoping things work out. And finally, this will be the summer where United either prove they are serious about competing again or show they are still a work in progress. If they can sign Belieber and maybe one or two other key targets, people will believe they are on the right track. If they fail to get their priorities, doubts will remain. That is why the pressure is enormous. On INEOS. On the recruitment team. On everyone involved in transfers. This summer needs to be a success. There is no room for excuses or mistakes. The long-term vision INEOS are building. When you step back and look at everything INEOS are trying to do at Manchester United, a clear picture emerges. And it is quite different from how the club operated in the past. They want to build a young, athletic, high-intensity team. They want players who fit a specific profile. Players who are hungry to prove themselves. Players who have their best years ahead of them rather than behind them. Outgo the aging stars on massive wages who are past their peak. Outgo the expensive mistakes who never lived up to their price tags. Outgo the players who do not fit the system or the culture. In come young talents with potential. In come athletes who can run for 90 minutes. In come players who want to win for Manchester United, not just collect a paycheck. Carlos Belieber is the perfect example of this approach. He is 21 years old. He has incredible physical attributes. He has room to grow and improve. He is not coming for the money or the fame. He wants to develop into a world-class player and believes United is the place to do it. This is not about buying the biggest names anymore. This is not about making statement signings just to please fans. This is about smart, targeted recruitment. Finding players who fit the system. Getting them at good prices before everyone else realizes how good they are. Sir Alex Ferguson used to operate this way. He would identify talent early. Sign them before the price got ridiculous. Develop them into world-class players at Manchester United. That is how he built multiple championship-winning teams. INEOS seem to be trying to get back to that model. And if they can pull it off, if they can consistently identify and sign players like Belieber while moving on the ones who do not fit, Manchester United will be back competing at the highest level within a few years. It will not happen overnight. There will be bumps along the way. But the direction is right. The philosophy makes sense. And that is what gives fans hope. What United fans should realistically expect. So what should Manchester United supporters actually expect from the 2026 transfer window? Let me give you my honest assessment. First, expect midfield to be the absolute priority. Whether it ends up being Belieber or someone else, United will definitely sign a defensive midfielder. That is guaranteed. Amorim has made it too clear that this is essential. Second, expect several high-profile departures. Casemiro is definitely leaving. Ugarte almost certainly goes. Onana probably goes. Others could follow. This will not be a quiet summer where nothing much changes. Third, expect INEOS to be ruthless in their decision-making. If a player is not performing or does not fit the system, they will be moved on regardless of reputation or past achievements. Sentimentality is dead at Manchester United now. Fourth, expect the spending to be smart rather than spectacular. Do not expect United to break the bank on multiple £100 million signings. Expect them to be more strategic. Spreading money across several signings that all make sense rather than one marquee name. Fifth, expect some deals to fall through and some surprises to happen. Transfer windows never go exactly as planned. United might miss out on Belieber if Brighton refuse to negotiate. But they might end up signing someone else nobody saw coming. And finally, expect this to be the summer where we really see what the Amorim era is going to look like. Where the squad starts to properly reflect his vision and philosophy. Where United begin to look like a team built for a specific style of play rather than a collection of individuals. Will everything go perfectly? Probably not. Will United sign every player on their wish list? Almost certainly not. Will there be frustrations and disappointments along the way? Definitely. But if INEOS can get the big decisions right, if they can sign Belieber or a similar quality midfielder, if they can move on the players who are not working out, then United will be in a much better position heading into the new season. And sometimes that is all you can ask for. Progress. Moving in the right direction. Getting closer to where you want to be. The importance of Fabrizio Romano's information. Can I just take a moment to talk about how valuable Fabrizio Romano is to football fans right now? In an era where social media is full of fake news and clickbait, Romano provides clarity. He tells us what is actually happening rather than what might happen or what someone hopes will happen. When Romano says Carlos Belieber is top of Manchester United's list, we can believe it. He has sources inside clubs. He speaks to agents. He knows what is real and what is just speculation. That is incredibly valuable information for fans. It means we can ignore all the random names that get thrown around in the media. We can focus on the actual targets rather than getting distracted by noise. Romano has been consistent about the Belieber situation for months now. He told us in the summer that United wanted him but could not afford Brighton's asking price. He told us the player was interested but would not force the move. He told us United would come back for him. And now he is telling us Belieber remains the top priority for 2026. That United still love him. That Amorim sees him as essential. That kind of reliable information helps fans understand what is really happening at their club. It cuts through all the rubbish that gets reported elsewhere. It gives us something solid to discuss and analyze. So when we talk about United's transfer plans for 2026, we can do it based on facts rather than rumors. We know Belieber is the main target. We know why United want him. We know the challenges in signing him. All thanks to reporters like Romano who have genuine sources and credibility. Final thoughts on United's 2026 plans. Manchester United are at a crossroads. The decisions made over the next 12 months will shape this club for years to come. Get the transfer window right and United could be back challenging for major trophies within a couple of seasons. Sign the right players. Move on the wrong ones. Give Amorim the tools he needs to succeed. Get it wrong and we could waste another few years going nowhere. Fail to sign a proper defensive midfielder. Keep players who are not good enough. Watch rivals strengthen while we stand still. The good news is that there seems to be a clear plan. Target Carlos Belieber as the priority signing. Conduct a fire sale to generate funds. Build a young, athletic, high-intensity team that fits Amorim's style. INEOS have shown they are willing to make big decisions. They sacked Ten Hag when it was not working. They backed Amorim even through some difficult results early on. They seem committed to doing whatever it takes to get United back to the top. Now they need to deliver in the transfer market. They need to sign Belieber or whoever the top midfield target becomes. They need to successfully move on players like Ugarte and Onana. They need to be smart and efficient. If they can do all of that, if they can have a really strong 2026 summer window, then United fans will have genuine reason to be optimistic. Yes, this season has been a struggle at times. Yes, results have not been good enough yet. But seasons are just chapters in a longer story. What matters is building something sustainable. Something that can compete year after year. And based on what Romano is telling us, based on the reports about the fire sale, based on everything we are hearing from reliable sources, INEOS seem to understand what needs to be done. They are planning ahead. They are making difficult decisions. They are trying to build Manchester United the right way rather than looking for quick fixes. That is what this club has needed for so long. A proper strategy. People making smart choices. A vision for the future that everyone is working towards.